Elden Ring's combat design is not good. A direct but unintended result of the long-standing arms race between improving players and FromSoft, boss battles have become disassociative affairs, a tug-of-war between overtuned bosses and overpowered players. With how ridiculous some enemies have become, players are incentivized to use the myriad of powerful tools they are given, which breaks apart the illusion of a duel, causing a disconnection between the player and the battle. No longer are you anticipating moves, timing dodges, you're now using a mimic tear instead. The more challenging fights of the game are akin to contests of who can dish out more DPS, a generic numbers contest, like say Witcher. Let's dissect this by taking the poster child of difficulty as an example. Even if trite, Malenia is the easiest way to show how broken fights can be. Malenia can disengage from and re-engage in the fight whenever she wants. She is fast, she delays, does whatever this is, regenerates health, input reads, and has the most annoying status build-up as a tool. Unlike all the previous games, she does not give you a turn to attack or breathe. Personally, I don't even think Waterfall Dance was meant to be dodgeable with the base roll. The current method seems janky. She is easily the most ridiculous boss of the entire series. And unless you subscribe to the theory that she was a scrapped Sekiro boss, From probably intended you to make use of spirit summons to kill her, considering her weakness to staggering, and unless you are on ball, you probably use the Mimic or Tiege. Was that fun? I'd wager no. It doesn't really feel like the traditional duel that we've become accustomed to at that point. We're not really invested in the fight. You're either getting your shit pushed in by a very unfair fight, or using overpowered weapons and tools to delete her. These tools do not feel like optional easy modes like summons of old, they feel incentivized. Bosses are designed around you making use of these tools. This is the intended experience From set out to make. And that's my plight. From has a meme reputation to uphold, but at the same time the series now reaches a wider player base. More of the casual player base needs to be able to easily beat the game, but at the same time the game needs to be harder than ever. From thinks they've managed to juggle this juxtaposition by overtuning bosses past the point of being fair, but giving you these. That way even a dad of 3 can finish the game, but the game still gets to be the top dog, but it doesn't quite work out as what makes the series special in the first place is lost. You can see just how the system evolved too. The series is quite honestly astonishing in how little it has changed. We still use the exact same Claymore animations from DS1, and that game is frankly easy as shit in terms of fights, with everyone being so slow. But the game overall is harder to finish because you don't have the stuff you do in Elden Ring. VS3 is more Bloodborne-like, but still quite playable, because you yourself are a bit faster. The player got overhauled as well. Elden Ring is where the system kept mostly the same since Demon's Souls finally shows its cracks, because the default player did not become noticeably different from DS3. The bosses certainly have. You cannot keep the exact same roll from Dark Souls 3, the same running animation from DS1, and have bosses that seem designed for Bloodhound Step being your default dodge instead. From needs to reconnect the player in the battle by either containing and scaling back boss design or changing how they empower the player. In their pursuit of keeping the game Souls-like, our movement options are pretty much exactly the same as Dark Souls 3, but since a casual player cannot kill Malenia with a DS3 roll, From gives you battered weapons. This is an unsustainable solution. I will fix this issue by taking away stuff like the Mimic tier, the ridiculous weapons and whatnot, but giving us better movement options and better parries. Give us Bloodborne's quickstep and then Malenia would be engaging again. That or bosses have to be made fun once more. Lazy double bosses do not show the careful design of Ornstein and Small. It's a giant sign that says just use a spirit summon. Bosses that give you absolutely no room to breathe are again not fun or fair. I should not need to summon a helper or use overpowered tools to level the playing field, because when I do, I might as well just be playing any other RPG. The series is special because it needs players actively involved in the fight. You should not have to have on-ball levels of time investment into battles to get a modicum of enjoyment out of them. The foundations are already straining, and with a future title it might just crumble if From keeps this up. The player and the enemies can only be empowered so much. This is just a point that I want to make. This video was meant to be a much longer, a general nitpick of the game and the series as a whole, coming from a long-time fan, just like you. But I realized halfway that none of the other myriad issues of the game really matter. This is still a harrowingly beautiful, incredibly expansive game. I still remember the first week it released, and accidentally discovering Siofra. There is no other game out there where you can just randomly look at some temple miles away and it turns out that's not just scenery. I just think that while the game in many aspects, like its open world and massive size, is what Dark Souls should have always been, the fights are not headed in a good direction. and From needs to rethink with the benefit of hindsight. And I say this, of course, out of love, for we all love the series.